If you believe life is based on chance, we're basically a victim to life. And so that's not really living lucky. When we're basing all of life on chance and not just hoping that we're going to end up healthy or abundant or whatever it might be. And so the whole book and the whole therapy is all about taking you from the victim through the hero into the creator of your life. And I think it's so cool because I've been reading your guys' book, Think and Live Longer, and I literally have it highlighted here. The greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health. Are you getting older?
Are you feeling it?
How would you like to do that in reverse?
We're your host,
Dr. Tripp
and Lene.
We've run an integrative medicine practice for 13 years.
Together, we have 60 years of combined experience helping clients.
We've helped tens of thousands achieve success in health and live longer, happier lives.
In this show, we'll cover peer-reviewed and evidence-based integrative approaches to creating the health you've always wanted.
We also share professional experience we see in the field every day.
So if you're ready to feel, look, and live your best life, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health Podcast.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thanks so much.
By the way, have you had a good...
I've had a great Father's Day.
You've had a great Father's Day. I think we found a really cool restaurant here in Slidell that I didn't know existed.
Yeah, 2 years we've been here.
2 years or so. We're just not in the know. So I'm excited because on this Father's Day, I've got a gift for you.
Oh, dear. What is that now?
It's our first interview. We're doing our first interview on the Your Infinite Health podcast. And I really appreciate this gentleman coming on. He's been so patient for the past 20 minutes as we try to figure out our tech issues and then waiting on you to change a light bulb or whatever it was you were doing. So I thought I'm going to go ahead and introduce him and see if you can guess who it is. Okay. So he is a licensed mental health therapist in Ohio, Washington, North Carolina, and Arizona. Nationally board certified health and wellness coach.
Should have just said omnipresent.
I'm not even done yet. Registered hypnotherapist, child mental health specialist, certified clinical trauma professional, and he's completing his PhD dissertation in mind-body medicine, which should be right up your alley. And he has his own podcast. It's called the Live Lucky Podcast. He was so generous to have us on his podcast not too long ago. He is most proud of being the author of the Gift of Luck book and workbook corresponding to his development of Live Lucky Therapy, which has an inexpensive self-guided option for only $10 a month for students and $30 a month for adults. And he serves children, adolescents, adults, couples, and even businesses in helping them be who they want to be. Welcome, Blake Suzelis with the Live Lucky Therapy.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.
I've been passively cyber stalking you and see you've got some cool things going on. So I'm so glad that you came on and can share a little bit about all these good things. So wanted to start, if you're open to it, about your personal health journey.
Yeah, that's been a bit of a long road here because the story starts when I was born. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So when I was born with what's called gastroschisis, so it's when your intestines are formed on the outside of your abdomen in womb. And so they didn't know that I was going to be born that way. So I kind of came out in Warren, Ohio, and the doctors are like, what is going on? We got to get you helicoptered over to Akron Children's. And so that's kind of how life started for me. And funny enough, I've never had a belly button because of that, because at that time they weren't real concerned with the aesthetics. They were just concerned with saving your life. So
Right.
at this point, actually, I was talking to a pediatric gastroenterologist, and he was saying that, Blake, you've got to understand, you're probably one of the oldest survivors in the country. And so basically that kind of followed me obviously my whole life. And so I've had different digestive issues and different diets and taken all sorts of different supplements for this. But as my, maturity, and understanding the mind-body connection, in 2017, I started writing that book, The Gift of Luck. And so it was to kind of help with getting out my journey of health in terms of what all was going on with me personally, as well as everything that I had learned as a therapist and a coach. But then in August of 2021, my health had started declining from like 2019, the fall of 2019 to about 2021. I had started losing weight and all these things. I mean, I'm 6'1", about 160 pounds now, but I was down to about, I think my low was 128. And so I was not in a good spot. I wasn't absorbing food. Lots of things were going on with my health. And honestly, I had friends see me that summer of 2021, and they're like, Blake, I'm not sure I'm going to see you again. I mean, like, it was pretty scary. But ended up getting a surgery in August of 2021. And they literally ended up cutting me all the way open and had 26 or 27 staples and everything. But on the way to the hospital, I got a call from my primary care physician. And she's like, so I've got some bad news. I'm like, I'm on the way to surgery. What could be worse than that, you know? Well, she said, well, I've got the results back from your blood work, and we are going to have to diagnose you with chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And I was like, yeah, I guess that is bad news. Okay. So I'm kind of going into surgery with this new awareness of a new diagnosis and everything else going on. But I couldn't really even focus on that because it was just like that healing process of just healing my gut and stomach and everything that they cut through. It was a long, dark journey for me, to be honest with you. And it's wild because before I went into surgery, I had promised I had a group of people who were going to go through my Live Lucky therapy program for the first time as a group. And I was going to do one-on-ones with them every single week. And then they were going to do some stuff. But it started 6 weeks after my surgery.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was recording weekly videos for this. And so if you actually engage in Live Lucky therapy, you'll see me. I'm a lot less weight. I'm not as strong. But it's really neat because you see my progressive journey as long as kind of parallel to everybody else's journey who's participating in Live Lucky therapy. So I've always thought, maybe I should change it. And everyone's like, no, don't change it. It's kind of cool to parallel your journey.
Much more robust now.
Yeah. Oh, man, I feel so good.
Just in the name. I mean, that's kind of an affirmation every time you say it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the name of Live Lucky, it's kind of funny where it came from, but it's based on the idea of if you believe life is based on chance or luck, we're basically a victim to life, right? And so that's not really living lucky, right? When we're just basing all of life on chance and not just hoping that we're going to end up healthy or abundant or whatever it might be. And so the whole book and the whole therapy is all about taking you from the victim through the hero into the creator of your life. And I think it's so cool because I've been reading your guys' book, Think and Live Longer, and I literally have it highlighted here. The greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives, right? Mm-hmm. It is that inside-out approach that works, but if we're always waiting for the outside to change and make us feel a certain way inside, we're going to be up and down all day long.
Yeah, you're stuck in a loop of continually creating what you don't want because that's what you keep seeing. So you keep making it happen. So it takes kind of this, you really have to just stop and reset. And it takes a little effort to shift that perspective and move forward in faith of something that is not as though it is in order to turn that tailspin around.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, that is really what I try to help people understand in Live Lucky therapy too. And I kind of break it down into perspective, intention, attention, and then really stepping into trust. And I think basically you've hit on all of those aspects. I'm just using just these 4 basic words though. But yeah, absolutely. It all makes sense and it works.
Yeah. So where are you personally in your health journey? Are you like on the other side of all that, or is it still, you're still reaching for a perfect state of success in health? Like where are you in that?
Yeah. So right now I am still in the journey. Basically in February of this year, 2023, my white blood cells, which is one of the markers that they look for when it comes to CLL or chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and it was at 134,000. Now, I'm sure, Tripp, you can go ahead and say, what is a normal range for white blood cells?
Well, normal is around 10,000 total.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Which maybe 30% of those might be lymphocytes. Variable. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is way elevated. And then started making some additional life changes and shifts in relationships and things like that. And they dropped down about 10,000. So it was at 124,000. And that's actually, I think, sometime after that is when I reached out to Tripp and saw him for the first time. And I guess it would have been 6 weeks ago, I got blood work and they had dropped down to 92,000. So it dropped 32,000 points. So I'm on that way down and I'm going to keep going that way. But it's one of those things that if you see regular oncologists, they basically don't give you a lot of hope. And I know that's something that you guys are it's such an important part of what you guys do too, because it's like really empowering people and recognizing like, you know what, people do have spontaneous remissions and all sorts of other things. Like there's so many documented cases of this. And there's, again, when it comes to living lucky, it's not just about chance. There are things that actually influence this. So anyway, so I'm still on the way down, but at the same time, feeling good next week. Thank you so much. Yeah, next week I'm actually going to head in to get them checked again, and we'll see how further down they dropped. So
cool. So in your therapy, why do most people, how do they find you, and then what are they coming to you for? What kind of people do you love working with the most?
Great question. I know it's strange, but I really love working with people with chronic illnesses and chronic diseases, because it's just like I said before, because when they are going to their medical professionals, most of them are not giving them much hope or much tools other than you try this diet, try some movement, here's some medication, but there's just so much more that goes into this. And I know you guys know like Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza and some of these other guys who are understanding some of these other aspects that are going along with our health journeys that we're not being taught. And so that's honestly my passion. I love meeting people in that space because I feel like I can offer that sense of hope in addition to maybe some different perspectives and tools that they've never been taught before.
Yeah, I think the mind-body connection component, mindset, is the most overlooked, underrepresented, underutilized pillar in healthcare as we know it. And it's interesting to me that it's really big in sales and business. Like it's all talked up in the financial arena, but it has not until very recently been harnessed and utilized in the health space. I know that's what we're really passionate about flipping, and it sounds like you are as well.
Absolutely. And I'm going to actually take it a little bit further than that and even talk about the emotional aspect of our health journey, because I think in a lot of ways, if we don't understand our emotions, yes, we definitely have to shift our mindsets and our beliefs, because that's what's going to be filling up the emotions with the same emotions over and over and over, right? We could almost say our belief system is the programs that run the body. I mean, really. And so it's like, if I believe I am unsafe, how am I going to view the world? How am I going to feel? How am I going to act? How am I going to relate to the world? And it literally influences everything. But if we're able to shift that I am unsafe to I am safe, and then work with the emotions and basically it is kind of this whole mind body, but emotions are an important piece for people to understand too, because it's like When it comes to the autonomic nervous system, we've got our sympathetic and our parasympathetic responses. Think sympathetic stress. So if I am stressed out, the sympathetic nervous system is what is in charge in that moment, right? And that is kind of the fight, flight, freeze at the extreme version of it. But then we've also got this other part of it, the parasympathetic. This is our rest, digest, and heal. And if we are not inviting that parasympathetic response, often we're not allowing our body that space to really heal itself. And so I think that really understanding our emotions are such a key piece to this as well, in addition to the programs and the belief system. So,
and I think we got to make a little bit of a allusion to that in our book with some of the things with Dr. David Hawkins. I think that scale of consciousness that he created a number of years ago, it serves peripherally as a gauge for those emotions. So if those emotions
Absolutely.
are very low energy, and that you're going to be increasing your stress, increasing the destruction of your body. While as you get to those higher levels where you're love and joy and peace and all of those things, like you were saying, the safety issue, I think that you're then empowering the body and putting it into a healing mode where all the resources of the growth factors and all of those repairing factors in the body come out and actually have been shown to improve health. And absolutely the same exact notion. And one last thing, I think you mentioned Lipton and DeSenza and those guys. I think the thought about the quantum aspect of how we create our image and what we believe in, that driving those things home and believing in those things actually drives our outcomes in those directions. And I think that's maybe also what you're alluding to a little bit, just like quantum entanglement and those things.
Yeah, absolutely, Trip. And just kind of what you're saying, I love how you're bringing up Dr. Hawkins, because we talk about fear-based strategies, and that is what? That increases that sympathetic response. Where the other end, that is that love, joy, bliss, whatever it might be, it does bring on that parasympathetic response. But what you're also saying is, yes, I definitely believe in this underlying kind of quantum aspect to healing as well. And it's kind of a strange notion, but I'm in a lot of ways really grateful for the CLL diagnosis, because it's really allowed me to understand so much more. It's kind of forced me into it in a lot of ways, really not just talking about it from a book, but being able to experience it in my own life and find those little, because we can say, oh yes, I'm thinking this is who I want to be and all these things. But if that is still a fear-based emotional motivation, like it still doesn't work, right? Like we still have to stay in that, I love this future version of myself that I'm stepping into. It's not out of scarcity. It's not out of anything else other than that love for that future version of me. So again, it all kind of plays together. So yeah, I love it. It's so exciting to me. I love talking about it.
Yeah, it's a great perspective that so many people don't realize has such an enormous impact on their outcome. 90% of our health is created by the way we think and the way we believe and the actions we take from those beliefs. So if we're giving lip service to this is what I want, this is what I believe I'm going to have. If it's just lip service, you're not truly emotionally involved, like you said. I think the outcome is still playing to the adverse instead of what you're actually desiring.
Yeah. And I'm going to add one more layer to all of this, because again, this is, like I said, I enjoy talking about this. Hopefully you enjoy listening. So
come on, bring it on.
It's just this other layer that, everything is relationship. And so when we're not understanding our relational strategies in life, because we tend to use a lot of the same strategies for a lot of different things, whether it's with people or the earth or food or, you know what I mean? Like, we tend to use these exact same relational strategies. And so when we recognize and step into interdependence, where it's like nobody's needs are more important than anybody else's, we all have needs and we all want to get them met, and kind of creating this interdependent relational strategy view of not just people, but everything. We're all connected and we all support each other, just like the trees give us oxygen and we give them CO2, right? It is this symbiotic relationship, and we've got to recognize and treat it that way. So I think that's another layer, that just recognizing the interconnectedness of everything and the relationship strategies that we're using, because if we're still using fear-based strategies and doing all these other things that are right, so to speak, right, we still may not have the health outcomes that we are really looking for. So then these are all very personal experiences to me too. I'm speaking out of personal, not even as much professional at this moment. So
very cool. Yeah, all of that. And I think also from a relational aspect, that's another thing I think that is missing out of traditional healthcare, is really taking into consideration all the factors that affect health. So that's what's your familial environment? What is your work environment? All these things impact our health. And I think those are conversations that are missing in traditional healthcare, unfortunately. So it's good that you're a resource, like, to fill that gap.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys have read Dr. Lissa Rankin's book, Mind Over Medicine.
Way back when it first came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's such a good one, isn't it? Oh, man. But she talks exactly about this too, in terms of whether it's your relationship with your providers, but also there's very significant relationships too, and how the fear-based strategies influence us in very unhealthy ways. And so I just want to throw that out there because I do love her book.
I totally agree there. I mean, the thing about medicine, the evolution of medicine has been fear-based. And I think we're on the cusp of actually being able to transition that out of fear-based into actually being the creator of our outcomes. Simply where we are with the genomic information, the completion of the Human Genome Project in 2001, and everything that is derived from that. We are, and the things that we're doing with stem cells and with all of the optimization and age reversal and the good science that is coming out there that really gives us not genomic control, so to speak, at this moment, but we have the information upon which to act, and not necessarily in a pharmaceutical way, but in a way of behaving and thinking and creating. As long as we have that image that we desire, then we move forward, and that stimulates the appropriate areas and the epigenomic changes in our DNA.
Yeah.
Do I need to simplify that?
I was tracking, but
that has no idea what you were talking about.
That would be a whole session by itself. But I think those are that I'm really excited about at this juncture. And
I do want to just one little quick thing. It was, I think, last weekend. It was. Oh my gosh, that was only a week ago. It's been a long week. Well, I ended up going to this event where it had a panel of different doctors, and there was a Dr. Todd, and I could not say his last name, but he's in San Diego, California. But he was discussing how he has figured out with lasers how to use stem cells in a specific therapy to actually reverse your age 3 biological years with each treatment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're stepping into the future here. This is amazing.
Lasers, I'd be curious to see that. I mean, we are doing the same thing, not with lasers, but we're averaging taking off 9 years or adding 9 years. How do you say? We're adding.
Well, no, it's age reversal. Reversing biological age. Reversing biological.
I just want to make sure nobody thinks we're killing people 9 times fast. Yeah, cool stuff. I hear these guys out there going, they're calling. I think the trend right now is for a lot of these, maybe more in medical science and labs, they're calling themselves futurists. But the technology is now. And so I'm like, we're not a futurist. We're a presentist.
Yes, that's right. I didn't realize that you guys offered that particular therapy. That's something new to me that I didn't even know you offered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I've been doing it for several years now. We're always evolving. If it's new and it's working, it's coming in house.
Nice.
Always trying to be what is it that guy said at that conference? Early adopters. We're early adopters.
Yes. There we go.
I think the program we put together is actually that effective. So
Yeah.
that's.
But it's not about us. It's about Blake. So let's get.
Well, I asked. So.
Okay. So I wanted to ask so you said you like working with people with chronic situations. Is that one-on-one? You said you had group. Is it only group? Is it you can work with people regardless of where they live? Does it have to be a certain location? Like, tell me all about that.
Sure. Well, so when it comes to my counseling licenses, so I only have 4 states that I can actually see people and do actual counseling from. However, I have a national board health and wellness coaching certification. And so technically I can coach anybody from any state with that particular certification. But in terms of being a therapist, I can only see Arizona, Washington, North Carolina, and Ohio.
But where do you draw the line on that? Because you're not prescribing, right? So where is the line?
Yeah, typically when it comes to the difference between therapy and coaching, therapy is trying to heal the past so that you can move forward, where coaching is more present, future focused. It's like, this is where you're at now. Where do you want to go? And who do you want to be, right? Where like if I'm doing trauma work, that is absolutely more therapy. But yeah, there's still a lot of blurring, absolutely. But in terms of your question about it, most of this is one-on-one. But if someone's like, hey, if I just want to get started somewhere, that's why I have that self-guided option for Live Lucky Therapy. And it's so inexpensive. I mean, it's the book, the workbook, and then weekly videos. And so it's walking you through this process. Kind of like the first month is funny because it's really all about the buy-in, right? Like it's talking about what is the cost of being who you want to be, and those kind of things, and what is your vision and all these things. And then we really get into the nuts and bolts in the second chapter is where we start talking about some other like mindfulness, and then we get into identity and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that first chapter kind of throws people off a little bit because people who are extremely depressed, they're like, I can't even think of a vision. I can't think of anything that's positive in my life. So sometimes people with depression struggle with that first chapter. But once we get past chapter 1, even if you are depressed, like you're in the thick of the actual therapy too. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a tendency to throw multiple questions out at once. I'm sorry. But you've got a workshop, a 1-day workshop coming up. You said Washington. Is that Washington, D.C.? Is that Washington State? Where is this?
So it is in Washington State. It's in Wenatchee. That's actually where I lived for about 5 years. My oldest 2 boys still live there. And so I'm actually going to be having the pleasure of visiting them while doing the workshop. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. Well, happy Father's Day.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, the 1-day workshop is, well, basically there's a Friday night, July 21st. I'm doing kind of an open house. It's a free thing. People can come in. I'm going to be talking about Live Lucky Therapy, and I'm going to have some of the different people who have gone through it, kind of giving some of their own story. And then on Saturday, that is like the 9 to 4 workshop, and I'm calling it the 1-day cure. And I know that kind of like throws people off, but it's creating your personal plan for healing. Like, am I expecting to kind of lay hands on people and cure them in 1 day? No, that's not what I'm saying. It's you're going to walk away with an understanding, okay, this is the plan I need to start stepping into. These are the people I need to connect with. These are the resources. And so many people with chronic illnesses, and I was included in this group at first, it's like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what I don't know, right? And so this gives people that understanding of looking at all these different layers and aspects of their health journey, and then at least gives them a plan forward. So at least they've got some idea of how they can take control of their lives or take responsibility for their health.
Very cool. And so that's from 9 to 4 in a town I can't pronounce in the state of
Dead center, literally.
Hey, there's a shelter out there that I have my eye on. Maybe you can go pick it up for me.
Okay.
Oh, no. So is there a ticket, a reservation? How does somebody, how much is it? How do they get in? And where do they go to learn more? All those good things.
Yeah, basically, if you go to BlakeSuzelis.com, there is a link that takes you. It's an Eventbrite kind of listing, so it's $125 for the day. So very reasonable, especially when that's cheaper than some of even my therapy and coaching stuff. So you're getting a lot of information to walk away with, and more than anything, I think again a boost of hope that it's like I can take some responsibility for my health and not just be a victim to everything outside of me, right?
Right.
But yeah, my website, BlakeSuzelis.com, you can go to the Eventbrite listing there. So.
All right. Now I'll put that in the show notes for sure. And then, cool, Blake. Well, tell everybody. So we got the workshop coming up. And then if they want, I guess they would go to the same link if they're interested in learning more about the self-guided program and the one-on-one options as well.
Yep. Yeah. BlakeSuzelis.com. I do have a separate website called liveluckytherapy.com. And that's actually where all of the actual education and everything is hosted through that website. There's a link from BlakeSuzelis.com, but all that content's in a whole separate website. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be sure to include both those links on the deets.
Hey, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Father's Day on a Sunday and hanging out with us and tolerating our tech issues.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I enjoy spending time with you guys. It's my honor.
Thank you so much. And all right, everybody, if you are interested in learning more about Blake, check the links. I'll have them posted. And until next time, stay healthy.
Thanks for subscribing to Your Infinite Health. I'm Dr. Tripp.
And I'm Lene. Until next time, feel it, look it, and live it.